Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Buddy Study Group. Today we're joined by Charles King of Securian, and he is here in replacement of Tim Go today, who was normally going to be joining us. So we appreciate Charles so much for standing in, and he's going to give us the lowdown on Securian's SecureCare product. So be prepared to learn about what's new. If you're new to the product, you'll find this a very helpful and productive overview. And we'll just see. I'll leave it up to you, Charles. Whatever you got to show us today, I'm in. You can have the floor.
All right. Thank you very kindly, Jason. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. And thanks for having me, more importantly. Um, yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. I was going to ask you, this is your time, so I want to make sure you guys are getting the best out of it and getting everything you need from it. Is there anything in particular you wanted me to cover? How would you like this to go?
Well, first I'll leave the chat open and we can, you know, take any questions out of the chat as we go. So don't be shy. You can even raise your hand if you want to unmute and talk to Charles. He's very, very friendly. I can vouch for that. Why don't we just start with a general like overview of what's new for you guys at Securian? I know we recently had a release of SecureCare in California. What are you guys kind of seeing on that front? I don't know if you work in that territory very often, but just like from the top down, what are you guys seeing for that product release in California?
Great question. And yeah, we do have a product in California now. It's currently not the most competitively priced. However, something we're looking forward to. It is the SecureCare 2 or SecureCare UL, if you will. But what we're looking forward to is a reprice coming pretty soon here, potentially second quarter Q3. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but right now that is definitely top of the priority list for SecureCare California, UL. I'm sorry. Some other things that we've got going on with the product are with California, they're looking to get the online the medical part two portion of the applications online. They're looking to get that active there. So once that gets going, I think everything is going to really turn around for California's product. I think you guys will start seeing hearing a lot more buzz with it as well as we get closer to the launch dates. And full disclosure, I don't have launch dates yet. I can just tell you it is definitely coming. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited. Uh,
That's something, you were kind of the leader, Securian, I mean by that, in kind of the rate decrease frenzy that we saw. It almost seemed like you guys were the first domino. I think it was about 1 to 2 years ago with a significant price decrease in the hybrid market. So that was really interesting to see. Really excited to see what the repricing looks like for California. And we've got a couple of people who have lit up the chat here, and they just want to get an idea from you. What are the SecureCare sweet spots, or what competitive advantages do you think Securian has compared to the market? Because I think it can be easy. We discount this because we're specialists and we can really read between the lines. But I think, um, you know, for some folks, the hybrid market looks all very similar to each other. So if you have any differentiators to share, that'd be great.
Absolutely. That's a great question as well. There's quite a few differences between all of the hybrids that you see available today. Well, a lot of what makes Secure Care stand out is not just the fact that it's cash indemnity, but more so of how the clients are able to have freedom of mobility with that. And one of the biggest differentiators between Secure Care 3 and say our other indemnity offered competitors is it comes in the form of inflation. What happens in the event that somebody doesn't take all of their benefit, right? It's a question I get a lot actually. And something truly unique to Secure Care with Secure Care is that the client keeps every one of their long-term care benefit pool dollars. Even if they elect to not take them in a given month, it stays in the benefit pool and ultimately will prolong the time that they can be on claim. Whereas with each and every one of our competitors that offers, excuse me, major competitors that offers uh, the cash indemnity on any level, whether it's if it's a combination of reimbursement and cash indemnity, or they're just straight cash indemnity as uh, we are unique in that you don't lose those monies if you don't use them. With them, I can guarantee you it is a use it or lose it policy. There's several, I can't name the individual organizations, but there are several illustrations. We'll say page 8. Check them out sometime, where you'll see there is actually a forfeiture notice right on their illustrations. So that's one thing that's a bit different between us and some of our competitors. Some other things that make us stand out, I feel, is where it gets into the international benefits. While that might not be everybody's niche, I tell you, if you've got family that is from another country, this is going to be a great asset to have for them, being that uh, the client will have your clients will have 100 access to 100% of their long-term care benefit pool. As well as now how this works though is they'll receive that at 50% of the rate. So whatever their benefit duration is, if that's a 4-year duration, as I was saying earlier, with the don't you don't lose the funds because you don't use them, it will extend it out. In essence, it'll extend out their benefit duration, practically to double. Are there any other questions in the meantime?
Not that well, yeah, actually, we have a question about like the most common plan designs that you're generally running for
Yeah.
agents. And I know, one of the sweet spots that you have that I don't see relatively other places, that you have a solid 15 pay. Do you see that requested a lot? Do you see it run a lot? Do you see it as a competitive pay mode?
Absolutely. We do see it quite a bit. Something else to throw in there. Waiver of premium is available on every premium schedule that we offer. So I guess that's another standout there. I apologize, I missed it, but yeah, the right now what I'm seeing most commonly, we are seeing a lot of single and 10 pay premium options. I did just run literally like illustrations for a couple of different agents that do reflect 15 pay, but what we're seeing the majority of is that single and 10 pay, mostly 6 years with 3% compound inflation and 5% or 5% simple in some cells, depending on the age of the client. But what we're starting to see a lot more of now as well is the 4-year benefit duration is starting to be more of a common request. Mhm.
Interesting. Okay. Rhonda says, tell them about the waiver of premium option in monthly mode with no premium load. That's that's a good
That's
one.
a, that's a great feature. So start with the monthly mode. The premiums are in it doesn't matter which schedule your client selects. There is no modal factor. So if they're looking at 15 years, you've got a younger client that's 45, 50, and they're looking at a 15 pay. It might be most appetizing to show them that monthly interval. Um, how the waiver of premium will tie into that is the waiver of premium with SecureCare. It does cover both the life and the long-term care portion of their premiums. So it's that entire amount. And how it works is in the event a client goes on claim early, it goes on claim while they're in their premium years. As long as that waiver of premium is elected, they will not be responsible for their premiums while they're on claim. In fact, Securian will literally pay them for them. Um, Now, if they get better, then if they are fortunate enough to get better, then they would just resume where Securian left off. So if they're on year 6 and they're sick for, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, and get better, they would pick up on like year 7, 8, or 9, right? Um, Very, very, very inexpensive feature to add, especially in the shorter pay scenarios. Um, there's something else I forgot to mention with the modal factor that does apply. So that there is no modal factor that does apply to all premium modes, whether that's quarterly, semi-annually, or annually or monthly. Um, yeah. What else do you have for me? I love getting questions.
Yeah, no, this is good. I think anybody who has any questions definitely feel free to ask them of Charles. I think given the nature of what you do, I'd like to ask you just some like a technical piece. So
Oh,
I don't really ask this of carriers very often, but it's good for us to know, and it's something I want to know about every carrier. What are your save age rules?
great question. So, save age is absolutely accepted. Secure care is going to be actual age. So, that 6 months to your birthday doesn't apply. And how the save age procedure works is very straightforward, very simple. What we need is just having the application in good order so we can submit it to underwriting within 30 days of their birthday, within 30 days after their birthday, excuse me. Once that's done, that age is locked in. Once the underwriting is done, then the client will have an additional 30 days to pay premiums from the date of issue. And that'll ultimately lock in their age to the day before their policy date to the day before their birthday.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Let's see. Um, this is a great question. Suzanne asked, what's the difference between SecureCare 3 and SecureCare UL?
That's a really good question. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Very good question. Secure Care 3 is definitely more aggressively priced. And also there's a few features in there that you won't find available with the Secure Care UL. Bear with me 1 second here. For prime example, you're not going to be able to uh, you're not going to be able to add 1035 to Secure Care UL um, unless that's changed in the last 2 months. That's pretty solid. The other fact, some of the other differences are going to come in the form of, let's see here. The age rules are going to be the same, but one thing that's majorly different is you could get a 2 or 3 year benefit duration with the UL. You can't do that with Secure Care 3. It's going to be a 4 to 8 year benefit duration. The maximum and minimum faces are going to be the same, with the exception that Secure Care uh, UL does offer a 3 year acceleration period that goes out a little farther so they can have a $750,000 face opposed to the maximum of the Secure Care 3, which is 500K. Um, that's that's about the biggest differences, the only real differences, if you will. That, and aside from the fact that one is on a whole life chassis, Secure Care 3 is built on a whole life chassis as opposed to Secure Care UL. It's obviously on a universal life chassis. But that's the major differences. Those are the major differences.
Awesome. Okay. And now this question, I know you're not an underwriter. I know you don't deal with underwriting on a day-to-day basis, but would you say there are any kind of underwriting sweet spots in areas where you feel like you may be a bit more friendly to particular health conditions? Like maybe where Securian is obviously not a carrier where we're trying to shop declines or anything of that nature, but do you feel like you do a little bit better of a job with certain health conditions that you know of? Or anybody
Uh,
else, if you have anecdotally just the success you've had with Securian, definitely let me know.
yeah, me too. That is an absolutely great question. And as you say, I'm not an underwriter, so there are some things that I'm not privy to. Uh, but one thing I have noticed personally is that there have been several declines. It depends on what the conditions are. and what it leads to. But there's been some heart attack scenarios and some diabetes scenarios where they've been declined at some of our competitors, and we were able to get them approved. Also, have seen where a cognitive assessment can go awry with another carrier, and we still have been able. There's been two instances that I can think of that we've been able to get it done, and that's all within the last 3 months. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I would say the other thing would be with the marijuana usage, with that being a legal thing now. I'm starting to see a lot more questions about edibles and vaping and smoking. And I tend to see it's. Don't get me wrong, it's not smiled at, but they're a little looser with the rules and regulations now, especially with the marijuana. I can tell you that they will not accept a medicinal usage, but they do actually accept recreational, which is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's probably just the, you know, medicinal use is, yeah, a marker of some health condition that is likely not insurable, is my guess. But it does seem counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It does.
Um,
It really does.
we had a question about individual or joint, and I'm sure you are individual with couples discounts, but do you want to talk a little bit about that, about joint plans? Do you see very
Yes,
good leverage with couples as opposed to just single individuals?
absolutely. So with us not having a couples product, uh, what we use what I end up doing a lot of the time is I take a whole benefit pool that they're looking at or a whole premium amount that they're looking at and split it between the two and show them, listen, these are independent benefits. If this gentleman or this lady goes on claim, there's no risk that your benefit could be, consumed because of how long they're on claim. Um, that's the a very big selling point. However, I'm not going to say, boo boo on joint products. We are actually working on developing one as well. I don't have, again, I don't have a timeline for that yet, but that is absolutely in the works. Um, yeah, yeah. No, we do offer the couples discount. The couples discount is going to apply to anybody that's married or they're in a state recognized, and the key being state recognized domestic partnership, civil union, if they're common law marriage. It's all intricate to this. It's all specific to the state. But if they are if their situation is recognized, they automatically get the couples discount, and only one of them need to apply. So if husband's not insurable and wife is, or vice versa, they're still going to get that couples discount. And I don't have an exact figure for you as to what that couples discount is, but is very safe to say it's approximately 5%. Meaning, $100,000 get you X amount, it's going to get you 5% more. Uh, I've seen it go, you know, plus or minus a couple of tenths of a percentage. So it's hard to say. I say 5% is a safe average to assume with
Okay.
the couple's discount.
Yeah, and the underwriting rate classes, I understand, are just standard and couples discount, tobacco, non-tobacco, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And with the underwriting, and I'm sure some of you are very familiar with how the underwriting works. It is simplified. And what they're going to do is every application we get they're going to look back at the medical records 5 years, and 7 years, they're going to look back at the prescriptions for 7 years. Now, what they're looking for is obviously red flags, but clients that are aged 55 to 60, there needs to be a routine physical within those last 5 years on their medical record. Doesn't have to be yesterday or anything, but it needs to be done within the last five. And clients that are 61 plus, that needs to be done within the last three. It doesn't mean there'll be an automatic decline, but they will, if it's not there, they will be an automatic postpone until that's done. Um, Let me see here. There is no there is no blood work. There's no parameds, no labs or anything of that. We're not going to send somebody out to your client's house and start poking and prodding at them. Thank goodness we don't need it. Uh, but there is also a uh, cognitive assessment that is given to anybody that is 60 plus. And potentially, if clients are younger and they have a family history of, cognitive impairment, they are subject to, a younger client would be subject to the assessment as well. I haven't had it myself, but I have heard it is very simplified. It's just like the underwriting is. It's generally about a 10 to 15-minute telephone interview, where the client will go through some word memorization, simple math problems, and things of that effect. Um, I think that's about it for the underwriting. I feel like I've covered everything there. If I'm missing anything,
Perfect.
let me know.
No, I think that was really helpful, especially the age break points for what, you know, type of underwriting or how recently they've needed to have a physical. That stuff's very useful, and we don't generally go over that too often on carrier sessions. So I really appreciate that. And we deal a
Oh,
lot with, yeah, go ahead.
well, I was going to say something else I forgot, and I'm sorry. I don't usually forget the pre-screening. You can pre-screen any client, any client. We will give me the information or send it directly to our script pre-screen team. We'll look at anybody and give you a realistic view as, hey, is this a good client or not? And I apologize for cutting you off, Jason.
No, that's all right. I'll put that pre-screen email in the chat for everybody too.
Beautiful.
Um, So we work a lot with externals on the study group, and or it's an external that has an internal there for support, but we don't often get the internal as star of the show and as somebody who has been an internal for a brokerage, not necessarily for a carrier. I know there's a lot of specific knowledge that long-term care specialists are really going to like, but I just want to hear from you. What are some things you are always mentioning when you're talking to agents, or something that people overlook that you're recommending they add to an illustration? I just kind of want to get like, somebody who's working with the agents day in and day out from Securian. I want to get a sense of what you're trying to highlight or what you see as overlooked.
Right. That's a really good one. So I would say the thing that I bring up most when I am talking with agents is, especially if this is one of their first times really looking at the illustration and knowing the ins and outs of what the product offers, is there is a 90-day elimination period. That's non-negotiable. There's going to be a 90-day elimination period, but it's going to start from the date the client is certified as chronically ill. And I apologize here. It's a little bright in that area. Um, it it um it does start from the date the client is diagnosed or certified as chronically ill. I'll give you a good example. My grandmother had dementia for, I don't know how long, a long time, like maybe even 20 years. I don't think it was that long, but it was a long time. And one day it was like a light switch just got flipped and she just crashed. Not literally crashed, but you follow my drift. Um, she stayed, she had to keep up with her annual appointments to check how aggressive it was getting and so on and so forth. I say all that to say this. With the 90-day elimination period, they're looking at the date that my grandmother was last seen by her doctor and confirmed, yes, she still has dementia and it is aggressive. That was when she had her instance where she literally wandered out of the house and got lost, and the police were with her because it was cold out and people were colder than normal, I should say, for the time. And people were a little concerned, right? And they called my dad and said that my grandmother she didn't know where she was. Yeah, it's kind of a rude awakening. I'm sorry, it's a little
No, we
so
encourage
it
sharing
happened.
long-term care stories here.
But yeah, in that instance, that was like a September, like end of August, beginning of September, right when the weather starts kind of changing. You need that little overthrow shirt or jacket. And yeah, in that instance, that 90-day elimination period is already satisfied back when she was seen in like January. I don't know when she was, but you follow my drift. So
Yeah.
that is definitely one of the biggest things that I like to point out, because the 90-day elimination period, and I'm just going to be completely transparent, is our Achilles heel. And that's just being fully transparent, but it's not entirely an Achilles heel in the sense that uh, there is also a zero EP for a $5,000 home modification allowance, as well as a $1,000 caregiver training allowance. And these are available for the client day one. As long as it's within that 90-day elimination period, they get it. All they have to do is request it. There's not going to be any, we need to see the bill to have the elevator put in your staircase or whatever. They're not asking for receipts. We don't need any of that. It's all cash indemnity. Everything on this policy is going to stay that way. I'm trying to think what else is another thing that I already mentioned, the use it or lose it part.
But
That's
yeah, I just think it's good that you mentioned the elimination period and the look back there. And there's a huge difference between a 90-day calendar day elimination period and a 90 service day elimination period. And the calendar day
right.
elimination period is, if you're going to have an elimination period, it's the most client-centric way to do it in the market. So that is
Absolutely.
definitely something to be able to hang your hat on. Um,
Something else with that as well. As far as I've seen, and look at about 8 different major competitors. Um, we are the only ones you can start your claim the day you leave the hospital. Every other one of these 8 competitors that I'm mentioning, you need a minimum of 10 to 15 days before you can even start your claims process. So if they're saying they have a 45 day, that's really 60. If they're saying they have a 0 day, that's really at least 15, maybe even more. You follow my drift?
mhm.
There's a bunch of little things like that that I tend to catch as well. And that is one of the biggest is what happens if somebody gets sick all of a sudden, like my grandmother, literal like a light switch, she just went from being able to do everything. And then all of a sudden, literally, she doesn't know where she is. But anyhow, what happens when it happens? Or if somebody gets in an accident and they get released from the hospital, these kinds
Right.
of things happen. And it can highly impact the client. Having access to start that claim right away versus having to wait. That can be detrimental.
Yeah, the beginning stages of a claim are always fluid and people are making it work any way they can, but to have the elimination period ticking so they can start to receive their benefits sooner means a lot. Um, we had a question in the chat regarding quoting or underwriting transgender folks. So just understanding, um, number one, if you will underwrite, and number two, will you quote them of their preferred gender, gender of birth, things of that nature? How do you guys normally handle that?
That is a great question. As a father of a transgender child, I can tell you that's going to be something I look into. I don't know. I don't rightly know. That is a great question. Um, yeah, I'm afraid to even guess. I'm not one of those folks where if I don't know, I'm going to try to sweeten it up. I need to do a little research.
Charles, Charles, if you get when you get the answer, can you send it to me or Jason, and we'll make sure that we put that in our Facebook group.
Absolutely,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yeah,
Let me just write myself a note.
we
Okay,
understand that not anybody who's ever come on this study group has had every answer, so we try to build that bridge to make sure people get the answers after the fact.
I love it. I love that.
Now, I'm wondering if you can, if you have the capabilities from where you sit, give us a quick demo on quoting and actually applying, if you could. And maybe
Absolutely.
as you're quoting, you can show us like what you would run if you're running a straightforward case.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You want me to show you how the illustration is run, how the illustration itself is run?
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be of benefit to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to. Let me just set this up real quick.
Sure. Yeah, and feel free to keep putting any
Sorry.
questions in the chat for Charles.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
give
sorry, folks. The sun was getting, it's like
You-
there, you know?
You're good.
I'll give a quick shout out to the Securian illustration for the break-even page too. So that'd be great to
Yep.
show that. That's a really useful way to figure out what inflation riders and benefit periods have the most leverage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a super good point. You know, with hybrid illustrations or really any long-term care illustrations, you're going to get a 12 to 20 page long illustration. You're not going to present every one, but if you have some that you're in favor of or some that you check the box yes to show when it's default no, that stuff's very useful.
Mhm. Absolutely. I'm ready for you whenever you are.
Let it rip. You can
All
share your
right.
screen.
That is number 2. Okay. And everybody see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So first things first, you're going to want to log in. Once you set up, once you register, you'll set up a password, a username and a password. After that, you can use this little single sign-on option. I find it very convenient because I have like way too many passwords, and yeah, I change them a lot. Illustration software is going to be right here. There's 2 things I want to point out real quick. Your business page is going to look a little different from mine in the sense that I don't have individual clients, right? So this button right here where it says my business is going to be a very good tool, very good tool. So when you have business that's pending, you'll be able to keep track with where it is in the application in the application process. And it even gives you kind of like a pizza tracker thing with the little blips on there, you know, so you can see where it is. Now the illustration software, there's 2 ways to access it, right here, or you can get in here in the sales and marketing and go life insurance illustrations. Takes you to the same place. Doesn't matter where you go. The computer likes to take a moment sometimes, and we wait for it. You're going to see this for every illustration you look to run, whether that's life or LTC. It should always say basic ledger. And then over here in the product, we're going to be looking at SecureCare 3. And let's go to Nebraska. I haven't been to Nebraska in about 15 years.
Shout out to Karen if you're here. If you're not, you missed it.
I love it. We're going to Nebraska, Karen. So real simple. You're just punching your name here. Valued client. You can either use a birth date or let's say 2/11/1975, right? It will automatically update their age. The gender is going to be selected here, male or female. Now, here's where you get into which one are they going to be rated for, if they're married or if they're not married. Let's go single, non-tobacco. And over here on the left, you get this design tab. It's also down here. Same exact design tab. It's going to take you to the same place. You can always go back if you need to. So you're not locked into anything at any one moment. The case design page. So we've got a single premium option, 5, 7, 10, and 15-year payment options. One thing I do want to point out, the premium schedule is going to be leveled and fixed and needs to be completed by the time the client is 80, before their 81st birthday. With that, this valued client is young enough to do 15 years. So we'll do 15 years. Do you want to see anything specific?
No, I would say just show us what a standard case is for you, or if somebody has anything they'd like to volunteer, go ahead. But I'm going to put a little chart that, well, it's really just a few bullet points that shows the age ranges for each pay type.
Excellent. With the benefit or premium design, you can target a benefit amount. So if they want a specific day one benefit, they can do that. We switch that to say $6,000 or whatever the case. We can solve for this right here. Also, if they have an additional first year premium, I meant to point this out. This is not the case with SecureCare UL. This is specifically SecureCare 3. If they have an additional first year premium outside of a 1035, they can put that into the policy right up front, year one. And what you do, you just select yes here. It asks you if it's a 1035 money or if it's not. If it is, very simple. You just push that and say, it's $20,000, right? Whatever their 1035 is. And it automatically will it'll add that into making this $6,000 day one benefit. Their premiums will be adjusted for that addition. Summary age, this is going to be what you see on the front page when you're showing your client, hey, look, here's your benefit at day one. At 85, it's going to be this. You can change that to 90, 80, 70, whatever you want it to be. And it'll always reflect specifically that age. There is going to be a chart in the illustration. So you won't have to worry about where that is, but the return of premium options, it's automatically going to default to long-term care boost because it is the most cost efficient in terms of long-term care for the client. So it will automatically default to that. You can obviously switch to the vesting option, which is the 100% return of premium according to the vesting schedule, or the 75% option, which is going to be 75% return of premium paid, available at any given time. The long-term care boost is going to give the true cash value. It'll provide the true cash value of the policy. So if it is surrendered and it's had enough time to grow, that could exceed cost basis. And they've got a way larger benefit pool than of the other options. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1, if you will. It can be. The inflation is always going to default to no inflation, provided you're specifying a face amount or a premium amount. It will solve for what is the best inflation for your client's age. Now, being that I'm targeting a benefit amount, it's not going to let me do that. So I'm just going to put 3% compound in here. 15 years, a lot could happen in 15 years. I'm going to add the waiver of premium. The waiver of premium is going to be very inexpensive in comparison to what you might think because of what it covers. We're looking at a 15 pay. You'll see. It's not much added to it at all. The next thing you'll want to do from here is go into your producer tab. Just verify your information is in there. You don't have to add the your license number. You don't have to have any of that on there. If you want to put it on there, it will. But your information will automatically highlight. It should automatically be selected. Like this says home office. It should say have your information. After that, it's done. Bing, bang, boom. We've got an illustration. It takes about a minute for it to process and generate a PDF. But yeah, it's that simple.
Super good. Yeah, I'm glad you did that demo because it not only it helps to show all of the different plan designs, but it shows how flexible the illustration software is. Being able to pinpoint that moment in time in the future is something we're fans of. We have calculators that do that specifically as well for long-term care. So that definitely means a lot to be able to tack out that point in time, even to solve for premium. And and solve for a specific long-term care benefit at that age is really flexible. So there's a lot to like about this software.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It does. They did a lot to make it as easy as possible. Really, it is. It's more of a one of those things where the more you play with it, the easier it's going to be. Um, Now, this is obviously a summary of what the benefit is going to look like and grow. It is not the illustration itself. There's still one more step. It's going to show us the quick quote value, so you know for the premium that this client's paying, which is going to be $6,052 a year, plus the 20,000 that they put in first year. Um, you can see exactly what that's gonna afford them with different inflation riders. That information is in the illustration as well. It's one of my favorite pages. My very favorite page is the page that usually precedes that one, because it shows the different breakdowns for, say, a 10 pay or a 7 pay or a single pay. Very, very, very useful tools or pages, I mean. So with the illustration, you're going to have this little arrow there. Once we're here, super simple, save it to your desktop. Now you've got to drag and drop into an email for your client. And it's that easy, literally. Now, looking at the illustration, did you want me to kind of dig into this a little bit?
I would just say your favorite pages are best. You
Awesome.
know, when you're presenting to an agent,
Mhm.
I don't know if you're presenting to many clients, but what you generally recommend is like client-friendly pieces.
Awesome. Yeah, so obviously you want to show them the summary page, but uh, I would absolutely show them the premium breakdown, because this shows you where, you know, how much of this premium is going towards the long-term care. Well, how much of that can I possibly have a tax deduction for? This is where you're going to get that information. The premium waiver does not count, and the face amount do not count. But the acceleration, the extension, and the long-term care inflation protection agreements do count as the 7702B tax schedule code. They count for it. So you're going to want to give those numbers to your tax advisor. The next, I would say, is going to be the reduced paid up. So a client knows the difference that, hey, I'm in my premium schedule. How come this says at year 3, this is my benefit? This is not the benefit. This is what happens if they stop paying their premium, right? Because they don't lose the policy if they lapse. Instead, they'll receive a reduced paid up benefit, and then it will continue to inflate from whatever year it is that the policy lapsed. But I would definitely point that out, and also the guaranteed values, so you can see what the benefit is from day one all the way till age 120. But after that, you get to the quick quote page that I pointed out earlier. But now you can see it with the different benefit duration periods. This is all going to be based off of that same exact premium. So if they want to know, hey, what does 8 years look like with 5% simple inflation? It's right there. It's okay. Don't do that. It's all right there. But one thing that I really like and appreciate is that it shows you the crossover age. There's a lot of folks say, well, I want to know what it is with no inflation. Why would I do this, that, and another? While you do a much larger death benefit with no inflation, when this client who's 50 and they're still paying on their premiums is 61, that benefit is going to be larger than this. So probably behooves them to add an inflation rider. Anyhow, so that's this. That's the quick page. The alternative design options. This is my bread and butter. This tells the clients and agents what is the values that I'm going to see with the different vesting schedules, with the different return of premium options, right? All of that information is right here. How much will this same premium afford me with the 100% return of premium guarantee? From day one, that's a $381,000 benefit, and at 80, it's $925,000. You can see the differences here. It gets substantial. It does get substantial. as well as the surrender values. So it's not just the benefit pool, you get to see the surrender values too. Um, and then also the payment schedules are all right there too. So it makes it kind of easy, you know. You don't have to run 7 illustrations to illustrate 3 different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If
Mhm.
you're running a lot of quotes, you know, there are
Oh
folks who
yeah,
are asking for iteration after iteration. To be able to just show one page is pretty nice.
it's very helpful. It's very helpful, especially if you know that it's there. That's what I run into a lot of the time is people don't know it's there. It's like, let me show you this. You might like this. Now, were there any questions with the illustration software at all?
I don't think we had any questions. If you want to just do a quick demo on application process, you don't have to go through a whole dummy app. Just kind of give us an idea of how to get in there and get started and maybe some process notes that might trip some people
Yeah,
up. That'd be good. And then we can wrap it.
yeah. So after we ran that case, remember right here it said view PDF. Well, we can still view the PDF. Go right in here. If you want to do an e-application, it's literally this simple. Unfortunately, it won't let me go past this point, but it's literally this simple. Switch that to e-app and then export it. Boom, and then it's ready for you. Don't mind that. You may or may not see that page, but then it's going to bring you right into the application. I apologize, I'm not able to show you that, but what I am able to show you is 1 second here. I think you will appreciate this. Open Sesame. There we go. The application and underwriting process for the online app for the e-app. It'll walk you through the whole process, step 1 through step 90 or however many there are. It's not that many.
I hope there's
Uh,
not that many.
I'd be afraid to present it if there were, you know.
Mhm.
But no, it walk you right through it. It's very simplified, a very simplified process. They do a lot to make it as easy as possible for both the agent and the client, because the client is going to have, if they do the online application, they're going to have the choice to either do the telephone interview or to do what they call client collaboration via iPipeline. And I've got a piece that would be good for the clients to have in that event as well. That one looks like this. So I've got the agent piece and then the client piece. It just kind of lets them know what to expect. And I've got to do a little bit of doctoring here to fix that. That should say 60 now. But everything except for that right there is up to date. And I can fix that easy, no problem. But yeah, it'll walk them through what to expect and even provide them with some of the questions that they may encounter. But also let them know that they're going to receive a call within 24 hours of the application being submitted to schedule their cognitive assessment if they're of the age where they need one. Um, don't be alarmed if it does say that, hey, a call is getting scheduled. It's supposed to. It's supposed to. They're going to reach directly out to the client, and so they can coordinate the best time that's gonna work for them. Mhm.
Yeah, Charles, we had one question. Can you remind us if we have a pre-qual number, where to put that on the application?
Yes. So on the application itself, you're going to want to put that in the advisor notes. Also, I would recommend putting pre-screen identification number on that cover page of the illustration because it's blank. It's kind of hard to miss when it's the first thing you see. But yeah, you put that in the advisor's notes. There's also in the application itself online, it does actually ask you, is there a pre-screen affiliated with this application? Check your yes, put it in there, and it should all be set up for you from that point. If it malfunctions, let me know. But that should have everything squared away. Now, does your team know how to contact pre-screen? Oh wait, yes, you put that in the chat. Thank
We
you.
got you.
My man.
We did have a request if you
Okay.
could share the illustration that you developed live on the call. I'll
Uh-huh.
actually throw that in our information page for
Yeah,
Securian so that folks can just take a look at that.
absolutely. Let me save this real fast and then I'll send that to you directly.
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then anything else you think would be helpful, I'm always happy to share it up.
Sounds like a plan to me. And if there's anything that any of your agents want, definitely let me know. I'll get you the information. If I
You
don't
know,
know,
I actually do have another special request because I either haven't tracked it down or haven't been able to. A
okay.
specimen contract and an outline of coverage would be super awesome from
Yeah,
any state you desire.
got it.
That would be super cool. I'll include that as well so everybody can take a look.
Excellent. Yeah, I will definitely get that to you. So just write down this real fast so I don't forget. Okay.
And we're
Good.
kind of rounding out toward the top of the hour. Does anybody have any last minute questions for Charles while we got him here? Or Charles, anything you want to wrap with? You got to
Um,
use the hyphens instead of the slashes. They got you.
yeah, they got me. They got me good. Let's try that. Bingo. All right.
Cool.
I'm gonna get this over to you here in just a few moments. Yeah, thank you very kindly for having me. I really do appreciate this opportunity. And thank you for dealing with my stuff for dealing with my stuttering through the whole thing. But yeah, I can't express this enough. If there is anything that you need, let me know. Let Tim know. We are here for you. If you have any escalations, let Tim know. Yeah, we're here for you.
And you're getting
Got it.
endorsements in the chat. So that,
Amen.
yeah, we
Mark,
That's a
really
pretty
appreciate
good
you taking the time.
endorsement. Yeah. Yeah.
love it. Thank you very kindly.
Yeah, thank you so much for stepping in and giving the presentation here in Tim's stead. I think you did an excellent job, and it's really great to just kind of get the perspective of somebody who's on the inside, running a lot of illustrations, hearing a lot of feedback from the field, and kind of seeing what we don't. We really appreciate that. So thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Hey, it's been an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you all have a great rest of your week and enjoy that. I hope you get the day off for President's Day. It should be a nice long weekend.
Mm, we can't count on it. We're busy people.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. Well, enjoy your week. Y'all have a
Of
great rest
course.
of your.
You too.
Thank you.
And Gretchen, we'll round it out
Uh,
with whatever you want to update folks on.
yeah, just real quick, everybody, if when Charles gets us the answer to that question that we had earlier, I'll post it on our Facebook page, which is Ask the Long-Term Care Insurance Specialists. So if you're not a member of the page, go ahead and join. It's a private page. So it's really meant for you guys to ask questions. We've been getting actually a lot more questions recently specific to different products. And this one in particular just really kind of went bonkers. So, so I encourage you to, you don't have to wait for Jason or Mark to answer a question. Just go ahead and jump into the group and ask your question, and somebody will get back to you for sure, fairly quickly. So, yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, and some of the updates that Charles gave us and some of the materials that he will be sending over to us will be going in the buddy system in our individual sales guide. Drum roll, please. It will be going into Securian's page right here. So I added some of the stuff that he talked about. I'm gonna try, a little New Year's resolution 2 months into the new year, but I'm gonna start to try to ask some more of these deep dive questions about save age, little notes on underwriting. So I'm trying to use this to take notes and add to the page live when we've got you know, the knowledgeable ones in front of us. So there are notes on quoting and applying in here as well. When I get those contracts from Charles, they'll go in here and his sample illustration will accompany this one. And his study group presentation will also go in here. So one-stop shop, learn whatever you can about the carrier. This is what we know about the product. So we're passing it on to you through those sales guides. So feel free to check them out, 30-day free trial, or if you're a member, just hop on in. And I think that's all we got. Mark, you got any last words?
I think we're good to go. I know we have a lot
Cool.
coming soon in the first quarter for product recommendations, so you'll see Securian in that as well. When you look for sweet spots or you have client case studies, we can help recommend it that way too.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. Again, special thanks to Charles for being part of this. Be well, and we'll talk to you this time next week. Have a good one.
Bye.